Hello everybody, Galen Beer with Agroliquid, and I'm standing here in front of a sprayer today between two fields that are both about to get planted to triticale tomorrow. I'm going to visit with you a little bit about why you would manage crop nutrition differently, why you might have different cultural habits depending on where you live and what your situation is. So tomorrow we'll be planting the field on my left here to triticale. That field just recently was taken for silage, and the triticale that goes on that field will also be taken for silage in the spring. There's not much residue out there, and so the tool behind me here, this sprayer, is fine for fertilizing that. We'll be planting this triticale on 7-inch spacings, and we're broadcasting the fertilizer out, both the nitrogen and the phosphorus, ahead of the drill going over it. And we can do that there because we're basically solid seeding. We don't have a lot of residue to be concerned about, and so it's appropriate to do that in that situation. The field to my right here was corn, and it was high yielding corn, and there's a lot of residue out here. We'll be planting it tomorrow to triticale as well. The reason we wouldn't use this tool in the same manner is if we broadcast all that nutrition over here, a lot of it would land on the residue, and then the cycle is uncertain as to when that would become available. So on the field that was corn, we're going to have to think about banding in some way. So one way that guys often do that is with the drill, and our drill is not equipped for liquid. So what we'll have to do is we've got the tool you also see there, which is a center pivot sprinkler. We can put some nutrition through that. The other thing we can do is after this is planted, a lot of this residue will get chopped up. It will get sized down, and there will be more soil available. So we could come back with this sprayer and use streamer nozzles. In other words, not broadcasted over the residue where we're able to do that over here. We would want to stream it and limit its contact with the residue. Again, just making sure we don't get that nutrition into a cycle of breaking down residue. We want it to feed the triticale that's about to be here. So now that we kind of talked about, the differences in our fields here that we're talking about with triticale and different cultural habits, I'd also like to mention that, where we're standing here, there will be strip till taking place this fall, and it will contain nitrogen, and that would be unusual in high moisture areas because of the risk of leaching. Here, we just are a low rainfall area. We'll be fortunate if we get 4 inches of rain from now until planting time. All through the high plains, which I'm standing in the Oklahoma Panhandle, as you move from Nebraska, western Nebraska, all the way down through the Texas Panhandle, we can use the ground as storage for nutrients. We can have that nitrogen and sulfur to a point, probably up to 50% of it in the fall, without us really having risk of loss. But the other thing you got to think about is, okay, even comparing permanent crops. Pecans in New Mexico get flood irrigated. I talked about putting nutrients through the pivot here. You probably wouldn't put nutrients in the water on pecans in New Mexico because generally they're flooding the whole surface. But if you go out to California and look at nut crops, they're generally using drip lines and microjet sprinklers so they can place those nutrients precisely. So going through irrigation there will be appropriate, where in New Mexico you might need to band that along the drip line of the trees and then water it in. Also, always think about the resources of time and assets that you have at your disposal. If you're planting and you want to get as much nutrition as possible out there at planting time in the way of nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium, you always want to think about what is the time and resources that I have. Think about the volume that's manageable. How far do you have to travel with your planter? What resources have to move with that planter? What window of time do you have to plant? Can you spread out your nitrogen over the course of the season through side dress and wide drop? So really today, just making the point, as we look towards 2023, think about how you're going to be using your assets of time and and also equipment in order to manage your crop nutrition in an efficient way across your farm. We appreciate your time. Thanks.